There we go. Okay, sorry. Good afternoon and welcome to the Renfrew County Housing Corporation meeting. It is Wednesday, April 10th at 1 o'clock. As we gather this afternoon, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of Council and our community that we are meeting on traditional territory of the First Nations. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history. We are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all of the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Are there roll call, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and we have quorum.
Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? I see none. There is an addendum on this one, on this meeting? Not on this one. No, not on this one. This is on community. Both of them are. Okay. Sorry about that. Could I get a mover and a seconder for the adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting held on March 6, 2024, please? Moved by the councillor from Petawawa, seconded by the councillor from Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards. All in favor? Carried. Delegations, there were none today. Could we please have the director's report? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the board. Good afternoon, members of Renfrew County Housing Board. With your indulgence, Chair, I'd like to just take a moment before starting my report to introduce a new face at our table here. Sitting beside me is April Muldoon. She's the new Manager of Community Supports. April has a wealth of experience in community services, having worked in our Ontario Works division in positions including Ontario Works caseworker and most recently Ontario Works supervisor. And prior to coming to the County of Renfrew, April worked in the City of Ottawa in homelessness outreach, working in transitional housing and street outreach. So we're really pleased to introduce her to the board and committee this morning.
Welcome, April.
Thank you, Chair. And again, through you to the board, information item number 1 in your package, which starts on page 5, my report, is the 2023 unaudited financial statements. So attached as Appendix 1, beginning on page 7, is the report. I will go through just some high-level points, and we do have our treasurer, Mr. Burke, sitting at the back of the room here, who I know would be very pleased to answer any questions that the board may have. In terms of just overviewing the information, there are no anomalies or too many things to point out. I will bring to the board's attention just on page 7 some of our variances in terms of some of our overspending more than budget were around the areas of repairs. So the 2 lines you'll note, building capital repairs, non-TCA, and building repairs and maintenance were higher than anticipated, and those costs just related to some of the challenges that I know both myself and Mr. Davis has spoken about with regards to the community housing units, turning over those units, some of the repairs that are needed to bring them up to a level that to be able to turn them over. And going over onto page 8, we did have, you'll see, I guess, the last item in the revenue section, we did have a little bit higher tenant revenue than we had budgeted for. So that was a little bit higher. It's, of course, when we're looking at budgeting, the amount we anticipate for tenant revenues is an estimate, and we did have a little bit of a higher level of revenue coming in there. So when you look over to the municipal surplus, we did finish the year out at 682,000, just over surplus, in which will go into the RCHC reserves. And then moving on to page 9 is the balance sheet, and this just, of course, for the board's information. As a corporation, the Renfrew County Housing Corporation is a list of the assets as of the point in time at the end of December. So perhaps I'll pause there, Chair, and if there's any questions, perhaps of the board, or if the treasurer would like to add any information there.
Are there any questions on this? No. Very good. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. And through you to the board, item number 2 is the capital projects update. And with your permission, Chair, I'd like to turn that over to Mr. Raditz, Manager of Real Estate, to overview the projects for the board.
Mr. Raditz, please.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the board. So in the attached appendix, you can see we have 14 projects that have been identified for 2024, and so we just have the monthly update. And in the report, you can see we have some projects that are currently in design stage, some that are in draft stage, and other projects that are scheduled for later Q2 or Q3. But I'd like just to make special mention to the 202 Cecil Street duplex project. Again, some very good news. That project is at about 95% completion, and we're on target to have that completed by month's end. The only delay could be some potential landscaping or maybe a bit of yard work, but that project has advanced relatively well, and we're more than pleased to see that near completion. On to item number 2, it's just the update pertaining to the new build on Douglas and Lee Street. And pretty well the overall project, we're at about 80% completion. There's some little bit of exterior work remaining, as well as some interior work. So the concentration over the next few weeks will be to finish that, both interior and exterior work. And the target date for completion of that project is May 10th. And again, the only delay on any work would be potentially some landscaping at that point. But the building and the structure itself, the target date is will be May 10th to be completed. And Chair, that concludes the report.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the board. Information item 3 is regards to the business case that the board is aware that we had submitted for some additional funding through the COCHI initiative. And this board heard at the council meeting at the end of last month that unfortunately we were not successful in receiving any additional funding through this source. So attached as Appendix 3 in your package is the notification letter that indicated we were not successful. In some follow-up work, the manager of community housing, Mr. Dombrowski, did have some communication from ministry staff and did learn that there was $145 million worth of requests that came into the ministry and only a $15.7 million that they had available to grant out. So only 6 projects across the province were selected. As discussed as well at the council meeting, the letter attached as Appendix 4 was sent by Warden Yimon to Minister Calandra and Associate Minister Flack at MMAH, reiterating the County of Renfrew's goals of continuing to strive towards increased affordable housing, as well as addressing critical issues around homelessness and mental health through our MESA initiative. Item number 4 is the National Housing Strategy Action Plan. So on the 25th of March, all service managers, including ourselves, received a letter from the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing indicating that there were some concerns with the federal government's proposed $355 million in funding reductions. You may have heard a little bit of information about this in the media. The letter that we received did indicate that there may be a significant reduction in service managers' funding starting on April 1st, should the federal government not reconsider their approach. So the 3 funding sources that are impacted by this letter and this communication are the Canada-Ontario Community Housing Initiative, COCHI, and the Ontario Priorities Housing Initiative, OP, both of which we use to address both revitalization of our community housing buildings as well as to put towards new builds. And the third source that it impacts is the Canada-Ontario Housing Benefit, which the board may recall is not administered directly through our staff, but we have a role in determining eligibility. This is a rent supplement program, which is administered through a federal provincial source, and we don't manage the funds, but we do manage eligibility and referrals to that program. So in terms of the impact to us locally, we do have some projects that are on hold that are funded through COCHI and OPI, and we await more information on this matter, and I'll certainly keep the board up to date. Item number 5 is a letter that was written by the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, by AMO, on behalf of all municipalities with regards to concerns about this, these potential funding cuts. So the letter, which is attached as Appendix 6 and dated March 26, the day after we received our notification, was sent by AMO on behalf of all municipalities to the Federal Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities, urging against any cuts in the area of housing and continuing to share information about the need that municipalities have and local service system managers to both maintain existing stock and build new housing using these funds. So that letter is attached for the board's information. And the last item, Chair, in my report is regarding the County of Renfrew's Affordable Housing Summit, which was held in Renfrew at the MyFM Centre on April 4th. This was, and we had an excellent turnout at this event. There was a number of investors, developers, builders, nonprofit organizations, community agencies. There was a lot of engagement at the event. This day was really led by Mr. Davis and his team, with certainly collaboration from our community housing manager and others from the Community Services Department. It was very much an interactive and collaborative event to try to really promote new initiatives and innovation around building affordable housing in our community. So I know Mr. Davis's team had a number of displays, including an interactive housing dashboard that displayed, some of the vacant lands that are available, as well as types of housing by municipality, and there were a number of speakers that shared information. So I think a really good day. There will be a post-event survey that will be going out to collect more information, and I know Mr. Davis will be looking to consolidate some information and bring that through to all of council at the end of the month, and as well later in the summer bringing another report to council following the closure of the request for expression of interest, which closes on June 7th. So I'll pause there, or stop there, Chair, and happy to answer any questions or others in the room that may share more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Patrick. So we'll go back to information item number 2. Are there any questions on the Community Housing Capital Projects update? Councillor from Whitewater, please.
Thanks, Chair. Excellent to hear the progress and so excited. I just wanted to confirm, is our approach to the grand opening of these 2 new sites, is there going to be a ribbon cutting planned or some similar activity so the public can formally acknowledge the success?
Ms. Patrick?
Thank you, Chair, and through you to Councillor Nicholson. Excellent question. We are planning that. It's tentatively scheduled for May 10th, just waiting to confirm that a number of our elected officials and ministry officials are able to make that work in their schedules. So more to come, and we'll definitely confirm that date. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Looking forward to that for sure. Okay, any questions on item number 3? Councillor from Petawawa, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. Of course, this is disappointing. It would always be nice to get a little extra funding. When something like this happens, and as you said, there was $140-some million asked for and only $15 million that was given out. When these rounds of funding are completed, do we ever get a sense, like a list of who was successful and what their projects were? So that maybe that can help us plan for the future, and not just on this round of funding, but is there some historical data on who is getting this money, what their projects are, so that we as a municipality can take a look at who's getting it, what are they getting it for, and maybe plan for the future?
Ms. Patrick, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to Councillor Service. It's an excellent question. I just looked to Ms. Dombrowski as she did have a conversation with ministry officials. We have, the information that I've shared is all that we have. So we know the amount that was available and how much went out, and that it was 6 projects. We have not received a list of who has received funding or what those projects are. They have indicated that that information at this point is confidential. We may hear throughout the sector, but at this point, that's all the information we have.
Supplement?
Yes, thank you. So just as a way of following up on that, in the past, it'd be interesting to know who has received it and if the ministry is doing their best, let's say, to spread the wealth. And so that not all the large urban centers are getting the money, but some of us here in the more rural areas are being successful in getting some of this funding.
Good point. Okay, any other questions on item 3? Seeing none. Item 4, National Housing Strategy Action Plan. Item 5, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, NHS Action Plan funding. Item 6, the Affordable Housing Summit.
Sorry.
You're going to beat me on this one, okay. Councillor from Whitewater, please.
Thank you. Item number 5, if I could, Chair. If that's
Okay,
all right.
we'll go back to...
I think it's item number 5. I'm flipping back and forth here. Yeah, AMO's response, item number 5. When I read this and try to interpret, we're getting caught between 2 different levels of government and who's supposed to fund the actual housing that we run. So it's in the province of Ontario, it flows through the province of Ontario, and they're blaming the federal government for not giving us the money to repair the houses that they gave us 20 years ago. That's right? And the federal government's pointing their finger at Ontario and saying, but you haven't built, you're not using the money we're giving you properly. But we're being held hostage between the 2 organizations. Is that a fair interpretation? Maybe the warden would offer his insights, Chair?
Warden?
Yeah, I'm willing to stick my head in the lion's mouth. Yes, that's a fair assessment. There is a dispute between Minister Fraser and possibly Minister Calandra, but at the very minimum, the discussion seems to be that the province of Ontario may not have spent the money in a manner that was appreciated by the federal government. At the same time, there is a suggestion that the province hasn't been clear with the federal government what the next tranche of money would be spent on. So I had the impression going into Easter that they were very close to a deal, so I'm a little surprised nothing has happened or has been announced. Maybe they're saving it for the federal budget. I'm not sure. So I will check to see if there's any further negotiation, but as I say, I was kind of expecting something over the Easter weekend. I understand they went into Friday with some of their discussions, but I don't know anything more than that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on number 5? No, number 6, the Affordable Housing Summit. As an attendee, I must say that I was very impressed on how well it was run, the information given, the enthusiasm expressed by both yourself and Mr. Davis, and I'm hoping that there will be some good future partnerships to come out of that. So any other comments on item number 6? Warden, please.
Thank you. Just a shout out, and I'm not going to try and name all the staff that were there to assist, but it was very well run, and I think credibility is an important piece to build into any relationship or potential relationships. So the fact that we had such a variety of speakers, and the comments from our staff to the public is essentially, if I can shorten it, is we're open for business and we're open for new ideas. And when you go to a conference or a summit or any kind of a consultation, if you don't have to wait in line for 10 minutes to get in, it's a great day to start with. And then if things run on time and the graphics are are bright and understandable and on time, that too adds to the experience. And so, you know, I think that also displays a level of competency that breeds confidence as well. So we embrace new technology, and Lacey Rose was running around having people be interviewed. So I'm dying to see what that turns out. I saw the member from Petawawa being interviewed, and he spoke for probably about 45 minutes, I think, wasn't it, Gary? Or 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah, you were rolling. I was taking notes. And so I think those kinds of things, and then that voting format, I can't remember the name of it, but again, that just added a different element. So congratulations to melding the new with the older practices, and a good selection for the program, and then also the people that attended and were in the audience really interacted well. So I'm, like the chair, very hopeful that we'll be getting some return on that, and quite anxious to see what that looks like. So thank you to everybody, and congratulations.
Thank you, Warden. Okay, we'll continue on.
Councillor.
Oh, I'm sorry. The councillor from Whitewater, please.
Thanks, Chair. I wait till you put your head down and you look at the next item, and then I stick my hand up. Thank you. I just wanted to echo, from my perspective as a new guy around the table, to see this level of engagement with all different elements in our community and outside our community. Speakers from Ottawa, CMHC, the not-for-profit speaker that used to work for Habitat Humanity, like excellent examples. And to me, this and the MESA initiative that we're working on, they demonstrate our desire and staff's ability to engage outside of traditional means. And I just wanted to congratulate all of the people that worked to make this happen. I think it's excellent, and we're paving new roads, so to speak. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments? You sure? Okay, we'll continue on with the Manager of Community Housing, Ms. Dombrowski, please.
Thank
you. Good afternoon through you, Chair.
Sorry, we need to have a report.
Sorry. Mover and a seconder to accept the manager's report, please. Moved by Warden, seconded by the Township of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we'll go on to Mr. Dombrowski. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, to the board, the manager's report begins on page 18 of your package. Information item number 1 is regarding the Barry's Bay and area senior citizens home support services. This agency is co-located at 75 Stafford Street in Barry's Bay at the Renfrew County Housing Corporation apartment that houses 35 people. And they are an integral part to the community of housing there. They provide essential day-to-day services for their clientele that also resides at 75 Stafford Street. And they are very inclusive to others as well. Every Thursday, they provide home-cooked meals within the lounge kitchen at the apartment. I was very pleased to receive this recent update from them, and their thanks to the County of Renfrew and the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board for the ability to continue their work at that location and to also use the facility as a location for a recent project that they completed. They were the successful applicant of a Community Seniors Grant for a Life Legacies project. And with that, they have developed a booklet that features senior citizens within the Barry's Bay area telling their life story. And they have also put together a video regarding this. And as appendix number 1, you will see an invitation for an event that they are holding at April 25th during the afternoon. Information item 2 is actually a resolution.
Okay, I'll ask if there are any questions on the information item 1. Seeing none, we'll continue on then, please.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. May I read the recommendation?
Please.
The recommendation is that the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board of Directors approves an increase to the income cutoff level for determining homelessness prevention program eligibility, and that this decision be applied retroactively to April 1st, 2024.
Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the member from Head Mariah, seconded by the member from Petawawa. Yes, continue with the background, please.
Thank you. On page 19 of your package, towards the end, you will see an income chart, and it outlines the current amount, that is the eligibility baseline, per household size, and the proposed amount. It's been several years since the program has adjusted the income cutoff rates, and customarily we choose to do so in line with the Ontario Energy Support Program guidelines that use the low income measure rates that are provided through Stats Canada. And we find that doing so provides a well-founded measure for determining eligibility, and also aligns nicely with other programs, including the Ontario Energy Support Program and the Low Income Energy Program. Thank you.
Are there any comments or questions on this? Member from Petawawa, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, I think this is a fantastic idea. I know that we have a lot of citizens in our municipality who are struggling to stay in their homes, and I see this as a really positive step in helping a lot of those who are on the edge, maintaining a roof over their head. So I think this is a big positive for us.
Thank you. Any other comments? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Okay, I have nothing for new business. Oh. Could I get a mover and a seconder to accept the Manager of Community Housing's monthly report? Moved by the member from Whitewater, seconded by the member from Pembroke. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now I have nothing for new business. Nothing for a closed meeting. The date of the next meeting is Wednesday, May 15th. Can I get a mover and a seconder for an adjournment, please? Moved by the member from Pembroke, seconded by member from Petawawa. All in favor? Carried. We are adjourned. Okay. Okay, I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Community Services Committee. Roll call, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and we have quorum.
Thank you. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. Could I get a mover and a seconder for the minutes of the meeting held on March 6, 2024? Moved by the member from Petawawa, seconded by, I need somebody to second, by the member from Killaloo, Haggerty, and Richards. All in favor? Carried. Delegations, we have none at this time. We do have an addendum to the Ontario Works Division report, and we do have an item for a closed meeting. So we'll continue on with the Community Services Department report, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the committee. So good afternoon again, members of Community Services Committee. The department report starts on page 4 of your package. And item number 1 is the 2023 unaudited financial statements. So once again, I will take committee just through some of the highlights and defer any specific questions to our treasurer, Mr. Burke, who is at the back of the room, or to one of the managers that may be able to answer some program-specific questions. So over on page 5, which is appendix number 1, is the 2023 unaudited financial statements. So starting with the Ontario Works division, you will note that the Ontario Works finished the year at $55,527 over budget. The majority reason for that was in the municipal contribution from the City of Pembroke. So if you look to that line, you will see that essentially we recovered $77,782 less than we had anticipated or budgeted from the City of Pembroke. So just to touch on the cost sharing a little bit and for committee, there is an arbitrated agreement from 2001 that outlined the funding formulas or cost sharing formulas with the City of Pembroke for the 3 divisions in community services. For Ontario Works, the cost sharing is based on 20% weighted assessment and 80% caseload. So a combination of weighted assessment and Ontario Works recipients living in the City of Pembroke. With childcare and community housing, the cost sharing formula is solely based on weighted assessment. Moving down on page 5 to the childcare department, really nothing of note there. Gross budget was over $18 million and finished the year under budget by $45,270. And moving down to community housing division, again, we were $101,101 over budget, and the majority of that was some overspending in our flow-through funding to the nonprofits. So as this committee is aware, we have some responsibilities as service managers for the 5 nonprofits in our area, and in terms of assisting them with viability and reporting and service system navigation and reporting to the ministry. So we did have some overspending in that line item. And just moving over to page 6, you'll see for at the bottom line, total community services budget. So we had a net budget going into 2023 just over $7 million, and then finished the year $111,358 over budget. So not sure, Chair, if you'd like me to pause there.
Yes, please. Are there any questions on this budget report? No? Okay. Thank you. Continue, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. So the last item in my report here is item number 2, and just an update from the Directors and Administrators Reference Group. So this is a group of senior administrators that meet on a quarterly basis with officials from the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services to receive information about, funding changes, issues impacting the sector across the province, and some of the concerns that may be being seen at the local level. And the last meeting was held on the 14th of February, 2024, and at that time there was a fairly fulsome update from the ministry on centralized intake. So as this committee may recall, the centralized intake was introduced back in 2020, and at that time the province created an Intake and Benefits Administration Unit, or IBAU for short, to receive Ontario Works applications across the province and then move them to the local offices once they were already determined eligible. And part of that change was around the ministry's goals to have a more streamlined, a more of a faster response, and also a desire to create more time at the local level for the staff to spend on supporting individuals who are struggling, as opposed to having them spend time on administrative matters, including eligibility determination and so forth. So you'll see in the slide deck that's attached, moving into kind of getting towards, 3.5 to 4 years later, the data is indicating that 47%, so almost half of the applications are still directed back from the Intake and Benefits Administration Unit to the local offices for eligibility determination. So the province is continuing to work towards full state centralized intake. They have wrestled over the last few years and worked in conjunction with municipal partners as well to try to streamline this process, but there's a lot of differences at the municipal levels and a lot of things that are hard to determine eligibility centrally. So a lot of the things where eligibility is unclear or where identification isn't available or whether it's an emergency need like a homelessness situation, those critical issues are directed back to the local office. So I thought that the slide deck, gave a really good summary. Wanted to bring that forward to committee just to have an understanding about where we are in that part of the process. I certainly think that the ministry, would have hoped to be to the full state before now, but are continuing to express that as a goal. And as noted, they have indicated that they will be looking at a new Ontario Works funding formula for 2025, which will be introduced. And they have indicated that they are recognizing that caseloads are increasing and have been increasing post-COVID, and the complexity of social issues and supports that individuals are needing are also growing. And in addition to not being able to remove all of the administrative pieces yet, as they were hoping, they have recognized that some of the Ontario Works funding reductions that we experienced, about $500,000 between the end of last year and this year's budget, have been a challenge for service managers in terms of the staffing levels that are needed. So I thought it was a good summary and just bringing this forward to keep the committee up to date on this information. I'll stop there, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this? Member from Whitewater, please.
Thanks, Chair. The resourcing, so the 47% coming back is causing a strain on our own resources. And I caught the last part of your presentation where you said 2025, the resource model is going to consider this. How do we feel in preparation? Is there any preparatory work we can do to make them aware of what that 47% means for us in terms of a resource demand? Are we going to the table asking, or are we just going to wait for them to give us what they think we should have and then go back to them? I just want to make sure that if there's any preparatory work, we do it now.
Go ahead.
Through you, Chair, to Councillor Nicholson. Thank you very much for your comments and your remarks. I think extremely astute. I have sitting to my left the new individual in day 3 who's going to be working on the Ontario Works management of the program, as well as some of the other work that our staff in that area do around homelessness prevention and administering the other programs. So we'll certainly be working closely together along with the rest of our management team and the county staff involved with MESA to really have a look at this area. I think that we can bring some more, fulsome information back to this committee and potentially, some recommendations. I think at this point, what we're looking at is just, I think for us, a recognition that eligibility determination and the over 800 rules in Ontario Works are certainly a lot of time for staff, and that the goal was to remove all of that and focus on person-centered supports and have staff out of the office and meeting with individuals at other community agencies. And while our staff will, have do an excellent job of juggling, it's the time that the ministry was hoping to have created for all municipal service managers hasn't been realized in full. Obviously, it has removed about half of some of that administrative piece, but there's still further efforts that I know they are anxious to make. So certainly we'll work closely with Ms. Muldoon and the rest of the team to get more information and potentially bring some recommendations back to this committee. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we will continue on with the Ontario Works Division report. Ms. Muldoon, you're up.
Thank you very much, and through you, Chair, to committee. The Ontario Works report begins on page 10 of your package. The first information item I have for you today is regarding a MESA stakeholder engagement meeting that occurred here in the city of Pembroke on March 20th. And really the intent of this meeting was to bring together some key service providers who are working alongside us and with us, with some of our community members who are experiencing some challenges with mental health and addictions and homelessness. We had a really great conversation, great engagement through the day. The County of Renfrew was represented by members from our Community Services Department, our Development and Property Department, as well as the Emergency Services Department. Overall, just a really great day, really great engagement. All of the stakeholders present left the meeting with commitments to continue the collaborative work that we're doing. Information item number 2 is regarding the social assistance digital application. Over the number of years, as Ms. Patrick identified, the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services has been exploring ways to enhance the delivery of social assistance programs. One of the ways that they're doing that is by enhancing the application platform that people are using to apply for social assistance. So over the weekend of April 6th, an update occurred to that platform, which has enabled applicants to have a better understanding of information up front so that they can be better directed to programs that are able to suit their needs. They also now have an option to apply to the Ontario Works program as well as the Ontario Disability Support Program at the same time. So this allows some quicker referrals to the Ontario Disability Support Program to take place. Attached as Appendix 1, you'll see some additional information regarding those changes. Information item number 3 is the Food Affordability Report, and attached as Appendix 2, you'll see the food affordability in Renfrew County and District. This report was prepared by the Renfrew County and District Health Unit. Public health units in Ontario are directed by the Ministry of Health to prepare these on an annual basis. So what you'll see in this report is the unfortunate reality that 17%, or 1 in 6 households in the county, are experiencing food insecurity. The Renfrew County and District Health Unit website also has some additional information about the negative impacts of food insecurity, as well as information how the public can take action and advocate for change. The next item on my report is the addendum, and this is the bylaw. So
Actually, before you go ahead, I will ask for any questions on the information items, starting with number 1, the MESA stakeholder engagement meeting. No? You're waiting until I put my head down? Okay, item number 2, the social assistance digital application. I'll go with the councillor from Whitewater first, please.
Sorry, I'm juggling. I've got computer problems. It's actually number 3 that I had questions, so thank you.
You're messing with me. I am councillor from Petawawa, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. You can relax, April. This isn't a question. I'm just going to pontificate here. So I see that this is progress here. I mean, we're streamlining the application process, and we're taking steps to ensure that the individuals that need this type of assistance, it's easier for them to get at it. But having said that, I think about the millions and millions of dollars spent on upgrading the software and ensuring that not just here, but everywhere in Ontario, there are people on the ground helping these individuals get all the assistance that they need. And if we took all of that money and just gave them a livable wage, I think it would simplify things for everybody. No question.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, any questions on item number 3? Councillor from Whitewater, please.
Thanks, Chair. I apologize again. I'm juggling too many problems here. I just was trying to do the math quickly between the third point, talking about, sorry, I'm better electronically, food affordability report, and our previous points we had in the Renfrew County Housing Corporation, where we talked about the average wages that we were changing for eligibility for some of the programming. And when I cross-reference some of the monthly incomes here with some of those, these are quite like Ontario Works is 33,000 a year, according to this, versus what we just approved in the Renfrew County Housing Corporation, up to 38 was the minimum household income. And I know that these two things are unrelated, but they still deal with the segment of the community that is vulnerable. One's looking at it from a food insecurity perspective. We were looking at it from a housing insecurity perspective. I'm just wondering if the staff have any comment with respect to these two different systems for measuring. We obviously, just like what was said earlier by Councillor from Petawawa, living wage would help resolve some of this. So I'm throwing it out there. Sorry.
Ms. Patrick,
Not more
please.
clear.
Through you, Chair, to Councillor Nicholson, I'll take this one and just give April a break, although I'm sure she could speak to it as well or better than I could. Just really a comment. I think we have talked quite a bit in these chambers about the social assistance rates, and a single person on Ontario Works receiving $733 a month. Those rates have not changed since 2018, and you know, we know that, you know, escalating costs of living and all of the challenges is putting pressure on, you know, systems from every end of things. So certainly, you know, raising some of our internal programs where we do have discretion about raising the rates, which we do through the homelessness prevention program and as introduced in Ms. Dombrowski's rates. Unfortunately, we don't have any control over or discretion over the Ontario Works rates. I know this has been discussed, you know, widely in these chambers. There's lots of advocacy across the province. You know, this has been brought forward, you know, the rates to AMO and Roma and other platforms. And, you know, even at some of the senior level meetings that I've attended, there's really no, there's not any traction around looking at the rates at this time that I can report, or nothing that I'm seeing coming forward. So I think all that to say that we do see that all of the food banks that we also support through some of our homelessness prevention programs, they are wrestling with greater than ever numbers, you know, families from, you know, social assistance, you know, all the way, you know, along, not able to meet the needs of the rising grocery costs. So we have a lot of challenges around food insecurity, poor health, and, you know, individuals that are struggling. So just wanting to say that I you know, hear your comments, and, you know, I think everything is very interconnected, and many of the challenges that we see are they're bubbling up in different areas, and we have a lot of, you know, individuals that are really, you know, coming to the offices, you know, can't get through the month for food costs. We know that 733 isn't even going to cover rent, let alone any of the other expenses or any of the other needs that someone may have for, you know, trying to go back to school or to, you know, get to work and different things. So just wanting to agree with your comments and you know, indicate that we see this every day, and it remains, you know, a concern and something that we hear from everyone in our sector across the province, as well as other community agencies.
Supplemental?
Thank you, Chair. So articulate. So thank you. So just to clarify back, those areas within our control at the countywide, we have proposed or are in the process of proposing to amend the levels to reflect reality at what we think is in our specific area. This one area, ODSP, Ontario Works, controlled by the province, it does not meet these standards that we're seeing with energy, what we've adopted for the Housing Corporation, yet it's out of our control to influence, besides the advocacy that we've already done. Perfect. Thank you, Chair.
That's a good summary, yes. Any other comments or questions? No? Okay, we'll continue on. Margot, in the child care. Oh, I'm sorry, we do have the addendum. Yes, please, continue with the addendum.
Thank you. And through you, my addendum is a bylaw, and the bylaw is an Ontario Transfer Payment Agreement for the 2024 Ontario Works Administration funding. May I go ahead and read the recommendation?
Yes, please.
So the recommendation is that that the Community Services Committee recommends that County Council adopt a bylaw authorizing the warden and the clerk to enter into a 2024 Ontario Works Administration Transfer Payment Agreement with the Minister of Children, Community and Social Services.
Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the member from Killaloe, Haggerty and Richard, second by the member from Headclare, Mariah. Background, please.
So attached as Appendix 3 is a bylaw and Ontario Transfer Payment Agreement for the Corporation of the County of Renfrew to accept the 2024 Ontario Works Administration funding in the total amount of $2,022,000. This total amount conforms with our 2024 approved budget.
Okay, any comments or questions on this? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Now we'll continue on with Margot, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. Good afternoon, Community Services Committee. The Childcare and Early Years report begins on page 22 of your electronic packages. Information item number 1, 2023 Licensed Childcare Annual Report. The Ministry of Education distributed a memo to inform service system managers that the 2023 Early Years and Childcare Annual Report has been posted to their website. They have also included the link within the memo, which details information on the Early Years and Childcare system, including key data and measures for licensed childcare as of March 31st, 2023. All of the data has been collected from the childcare licensing system, as well as from surveys that they ask all licensed childcare centers and home childcare agencies to complete annually. Information item number 2 is the 2023 Early Years and Childcare Data Profiles. So this is another memo that we received on the same day from the Ministry of Education with 2023 licensed childcare data profiles for the province. Again, keeping in mind that the data is collected from the childcare licensing system as of March 31st, 2023. The profile document provides a detailed look at each municipality's data in terms of licensed centers, homes, spaces, age groupings, including if spaces are located within schools or community-based centers. And the data is comparable back to 2013. There is also a section you will see on reported serious occurrences within licensed centers and homes, which is the process that is mandated for licensed operators to file reports with the ministry within 24 hours of an occurrence. We have included the details specifically for the County of Renfrew as an appendix in the report, as the full report was 435 pages. So certainly if anyone would like to see the full report, please reach out and we can provide that as well. Information item number 3, Bill C-35, an act representing early learning and childcare in Canada. So information about this bill was first brought to this committee in my January 2023 report when the bill was first introduced in the House of Commons on December 8th, 2022. You may have seen in the news very recently, and I'm happy to be reporting back to you today, that the bill received royal assent on March 19th, 2024. Bill C-35 sets out the Government of Canada's vision for a Canada-wide early learning and childcare, Canada-wide early learning and childcare, and a commitment to maintaining long-term funding relating to the early learning and childcare to be provided to provinces and Indigenous peoples. Information item number 4, administrative funding reductions. So this item I'm bringing back this month. It's a follow-up to the request made by Warden Emo at the last committee meeting in March, when I had brought forward the letter that was written by OMSA on behalf of the 47 municipalities to the Minister of Education, asking for a reconsideration of the reduction of the administration funding for the childcare and early years for service system managers. The chart in my report lists the financial impacts as requested to the rural municipalities in Eastern Ontario. And that concludes my report, Chair.
Thank you. So we'll go back. Are there any questions on information item 1, 2023 licensed childcare annual report? Seeing none. Item 2, the 2023 early years and childcare data profiles. Item 3, Bill C-35, an act respecting early learning and childcare in Canada. Member from Petawawa, please.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, this is a good news story. This question is not so much about this, but have we received a response about our letter that we sent asking for increased spaces, CWELC?
Through you, Chair, to committee, no, we have not received any response to my knowledge as of this date.
No news is good news, I guess.
Okay, item number 4, administrative funding reductions. Excuse me. Member from Whitewater, please.
Thanks, Chair. And I apologize, I missed the last meeting, so the discussion for this. But remind me, this one-time transitional grant, the one that existed, was influencing some childcare providers to pull out of CWELC. Is that correct, or am I mixing up the issues here?
Through you, Chair, to committee. So no, this item is with regard to administrative funding specifically for service system managers. So yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you, Chair. My mix-up. No questions.
Member from Petawawa, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, I guess it's too early to tell if this reduction in funding has affected the way, our ability, I guess, to administer things properly. Is there a sense on how long we're going to have to exist with this reduction in funding before we see how much it affects our ability to provide the services we do?
Through you, Chair, to committee. For 2024, we looked at mitigation funding that was existing for childcare to cover to offset the difference. Certainly, we'll have to take a look at what that looks like when we get closer to year end. The other piece of information that we haven't received just yet, but similar to what Director Patrick was talking about with the Ontario Works funding formula, the Ministry of Education is also going to be sending us a new childcare funding formula, hopefully sooner than later. They are talking about this coming in 2024. So as soon as we have more information, perhaps we'll see if there's any differences there as well.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, could I get a mover and a seconder to accept the report? Moved by the member from Killoughhagy Richards, second by the member from Whitewater. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Okay, I have nothing for new business. Closed meeting. We do have a closed meeting. Be it resolved that council move into a closed meeting pursuant to section 239-2 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss the security of the property of the municipality or local board care for. All in favor? Yeah.
Sorry, we need a mover and a seconder for this.
Move. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by the member from Whitewater, seconded by Warden Emo. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Welcome back. The date of our next meeting is Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. Can I get a mover and a seconder for adjournment, please? Moved by the member from Petawawa, seconded by the member from Het Clark Mariah. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.